I guess I gotta preface this video and say that I might get a few Xbox salty because I don't think that Gears 5 is super impressive. They think every game that comes out for Xbox is the best thing since sliced bread when Crackdown 3 was majorly disappointing, but they sucked that game's dick like no tomorrow. I am a gamer first. I put my opinions on the forefront. I point out things that are good, that are bad, and then I try to find some sort of middle ground from there and tell you why these things are bad and give you my reasoning as to why. You don't have to agree, you can disagree, you don't have to disagree, you can agree as much as you want. That's your opinion, that's your perspective. I'm not forcing you how you think. I'm just saying maybe you should open your mind to these problems. If you don't, then you are narrow-minded, you are closed-minded, and honestly, I think Gears 5 is just the same run-of-the-mill game that I played when I was doing Gears 4, except there's some questionable mechanics in place. So I'm gonna get to them right now in the video. I'm just saying, if you Xbox guys are gonna come and bash me and all this stuff, please know that not only do I have an Xbox One, not only do I feel that Game Pass is great, not only do I think that Xbox is doing well on the backwards compatibility front, I want you to think before you type and listen to what I'm saying. I'm a hybrid console owner. I own a PS4, a PS3, an Xbox One, an OG Xbox, a PS2, and a PC. I am not roped into your console war bullshit. You are of a minimal mind if you have only one platform and you are damage controlling a piece of plastic to no end. I have criticized many companies. I will criticize God of War 2018 in the future because I don't think that game is as good as sliced bread. So yeah, watch where you're coming through when you come through with the fanboyism, because that shit doesn't fly on me. I am a hybrid platform owner, and I'm of sound mind to play whatever the hell I want. Grand opening, grand closing. Grand opening, grand closing. What am I talking about today? I'm talking about the Gears 5 technical stress test that they had this weekend. I played a little bit of it, just casually trying to get my sea legs back from Gears of War 4. So I played this and I have some mixed feelings about this because I feel this technical test was a mixed bag. I don't care what Rod Ferguson says. I'm going to give my first impressions on the game. I don't care if he says, oh my god, this is not the full game. We're trying to help you people get to the full game without any bugs, any launch glitches, anything going on with the online. Well, I'll tell you something, Rod. I'll tell you something now, buddy. There is something definitely going on with the online. If it takes people about an hour, maybe 10 minutes, maybe more to get into some matchmaking, your matchmaking in this technical test is not good. You need to fix it. In Siege, a game that came out in 2015, in Rainbow Six Siege, I could find a match no problem. In Gears 5 with the technical test, it takes me almost 20 minutes to find a match. A ranked match at that. This is unacceptable. I had tons of timeouts, tons of connection drops. It was all over the place. It was the worst matchmaking experience I ever had in a long time, and I feel this needs to be stomped out before the game is released. This is my first impressions. I'm telling you, this is your major issue with the game. This is a major negative. You need to fix this right away because it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable to have matchmaking this terrible. I know it's a test. I know you're trying your damnness, Rod Ferguson, but right now I can tell you your first attempt isn't really that great. Next thing we have for the negatives of Gears 5 is how they rebalanced the currency for buying weapons and all that stuff in the multiplayer. Now you don't just find power weapons, you have to buy the Nasher, you have to buy a long shot. And honestly, I hope that when the final game drops, they have a traditional mode where there's still power weapons scattered across the map. They still have Nashers in the default loadout, because I enjoy when Gears is an up close experience, whether it's long range, short range, whatever. I know people really have complained about the Gears meta not changing, so now it's all about ADS machine guns, and I can understand why people would think, okay, this is a little bit better. This is very subjective. For me, I want there to be a playlist for classic Gears gameplay of finding power weapons scattered across the map and using the Nasher by default. I'm going to be brutally honest, if they really wanted to fix Nasher shotgun meta and people really didn't like it in Gears 4, why didn't they fix it and make it equivalent to Gears 3? In Gears 3, I could totally wreck someone with the Nasher at close range, and I could totally kill someone with the Lancer at long range, and it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like, oh, I got a shotgun, I can snipe this guy at long range. Everything felt balanced out. I don't see why these developers just didn't take range and weapon nerfing into accountability instead of just changing the meta outright. But what's there really isn't bad. You can still use your machine guns, you can still get a beat on people. It feels like the guns have like next to no recoil this time around in Gears of War 5, which is, you know, weird. I keep saying Gears of War 5, they don't even call it Gears of War 5, it's just Gears 5. It's so weird, it's so strange. But honestly, this moves on to my next point. I feel that this game is pretty much still the same old Gears of War. Now, that might be good for many entries in certain franchises, but honestly, they don't change much up except for the fact that you have a melee button with the knife. I thought that was cool and all. I thought that was fine. I dislike the fact that in other Gears games, you run up on someone, you're in a close range encounter, all you do is just slam both of your Lancers into each other like a drunk whore on 10-pin night. But still, the knife is cool. You do some damage, you back up, you go back in, you slice the guy up, and then he dies. I think that the new melee system is cool. It basically does what I want. I want to do some quick heavy damage as much as possible while guiding around the enemy, and it works for what it is. The new melee system is cool, and I don't mind, you know, some of the control remappings because I got my bearings on how Gears 5 worked rather quickly. But there's still some stuff in this game that just bother me. Now, I said earlier that the power weapon currency, you get power weapons by kills now, and that includes the Nasher. I saw a hydrogen gun, I saw the Nasher, I saw the long shot, Boltok, etc. You can get these by kills. The problem with this is, if they're really trying to change the meta, it doesn't really eliminate the power weapon problem. I feel like it only amplifies it because all the other person has to do is get a bunch of kills and bam, he has a power weapon. And then when he gets unfortunately shot in the back of the head, he cannot keep that Nasher anymore because the power weapon goes away. Again, I understand the complaints of all this stuff. I understand why some of the meta has been changed up to reinvigorate the Gears of War experience, but in the end, it created some whole new problems with the fact that you could just run around with a fucking shotgun after like 5 or 6 kills. So yeah, nothing really has changed in that regard. You can still mulch people after you mow down like 5 or 6 people now, and that's the only difference. Maybe after you mulch down like 5 or 6 or 7 people, you'll get a rocket launcher for your troubles instead of finding it or having someone else pick it up. I just think it can be a little bit annoying in that regard. And speaking of annoyances, speaking of all this, it's just weird how some of the stuff has been coordinated for the Gears meta. Like, we have a system where you can see people through walls. You know I don't condone the fuckery. I don't condone this at all. I don't like the fact that there's comeback mechanics in these games. So let's put up a hypothetical here. Let's put up a hypothetical on the drawing board. You have about some teammates that are shit, trash, absolutely garbage. All right, we understand that. You're on the losing side. You feel like a comeback is impossible, but I feel if you're the losing team, you should be better. You should strive to play better, be in better matchups, and then overcome the competition. I don't like when your team gets like about 10 or 11 deaths, somewhere around there. I know I didn't really count, but once you lose like a little bit of lives, then what starts to happen is you have a second win. The second win occurs and you can see the enemies from 40 yards out, etc. And I feel that is kind of, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that you can see these people through walls, that somehow, your team that is losing, you can make an extreme comeback by seeing where all the enemies are. And I think it should be excluded from the game. This is the same problem that I had with Uncharted 3, assisting players way too much with some crutches. Let these people learn, and then in other matchups, maybe they will learn, get better, apply, and be good. So, not all hope is lost with Gears 5. There's some good stuff. Like I said, the gameplay is still smooth and crisp. It's still smooth, crisp Gears fashion. I really enjoy how it controlled. It had amazing graphics. I thought one of the good implementations was the fact that you can see icons over the enemies' heads if they do happen to have a power weapon. So if a guy has an Asher or something and you want to get away from him as fast as possible, you want to wall bounce, get out of town, get out of dodge, you can do that. And you can see the imminent danger right in front of you. That's also fine. And I like that they implemented that because, again, you don't want to run into any battle and you don't know what you're up against. I did like that implementation of the icons over people's heads if they do indeed possess a power weapon. I also like the new melee system. Like I said earlier, I thought the knife was awesome. I thought it was cool. I was shivving people at one point in the footage. Hopefully you've seen it by now, but you get the idea. The little tutorial that they had in the beginning of the game, it took way too long, and I was wondering, why can't I skip this? I did like the dialogue between Baird and Dell, but I would like to get to the core of the game with the stress test, which is the online, which is ranked, which is King of the Hill, which is escalation. I know how Gears works. I don't need a reminder. The only thing I needed to know is that the knife button is mapped to B, and that's it. That's all there is to it. There is some old problems that also exist as well, because I had some issues with bullet leading. I'm trying to get behind cover and all of a sudden I just died because some bullets is on my ass. I think that happened with Gears of War 4 as well, so I'm not going to be too judgmental. I'm going to be fair, but it is an existing problem that is still prevalent. This just feels like a complete casualization of Gears. They took all the weapons people complained about and put them behind this kill wall that you have to play to get kills and unlock. I don't really know the difference between ranked and arcade mode, but I am sure there is changes. Please let me know in the comment section what makes them different. Obviously, casual and ranked, they must have their differences here or there. I have also looked at the community tab for Gears on Reddit, and a lot of people are complaining about the new look of the Omen system, which is basically the UI when you get damaged, when you get shot. They say it looks horrible, which I agree with. It can be very obscuring if you get shot and you're starting to build up damage and the red fills up all the way on the screen, and it makes it hard to see with all this stuff in the middle of the UI. I don't think it's as good as Gears 4. Bring back the original Omen system if you get shot and make it a little bit more seeable so the player isn't really distracted if they're really taking heavy damage and they need to run and take cover. I don't like that the UI really obscures your vision. They're also complaining about some of the animations being a little bit too strange compared to Gears 4. I thought the roadie run, everything else was fine. I think the only thing that bothers me here is that the walking speed is somewhat decreased. The running speed, the average running speed is somewhat decreased. It's very slow because the animation is like super different. He has his gun like pointed downward instead of upward. It's super weird. It's one of those weird nitpicks that really doesn't bother me too much, but it's something that's there. The animations take some getting used to, the new ones at least, but everything else feels like classic Gears fashion, so I'm not gonna rib it too much. Some users complained about the chainsaw button, where you rev the chainsaw is now mapped to the RB button, which is the same button to reload now, and it used to be the B button. Some people asked for a change in control scheme to classic Gears, which I also agree with. Options are nice. It should be there in the game if people want to play it that particular way. Do not take control schemes away from the player if they feel too attuned to original Gears and they want to play it the way they want instead of adopting to this new control scheme, because what if you want to reload, or what if you want to chainsaw someone and you get caught in a reload animation? It could fuck you over in the end if you're trying to get this weird kill really quickly and you manage to reload your gun, but no, wait, someone chainsaws you instead, so that can probably happen due to confusion. Either way, I thought the Gears beta was a mixed bag. They need more fine tuning to do. They definitely need to fix the matchmaking. That's a top priority. They need to fix that as fast as possible. They need to get on this. This is a big problem. They need to fix it before launch, because this game is coming out in September, so they only have like a few months left. And I love Gears. I really do. I love Gears, but honestly, I'm gonna say this really didn't impress me way too much. It's your standard Gears game, but some things are done for better or for worse in some areas. And that's how I feel about it. Kinda grand opening, grand closing. It's like, honestly, this game does nothing to reinvigorate Gears for me. If you played a Gears game before, then honestly you played this game, and there's nothing really too hype about going out to pre-order Gears 5 unless it proves itself with the multiplayer offerings that it has and the story that it has exceeding the previous games. I did hear articles that this was going to be the biggest story and biggest multiplayer in the series, so they need to live up to that while listening to the fan feedback of this test and fixing all the problems. This is Renegade Operative signing off. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed this video. If you played the Gears 5 stress test, what do you think? Comment below, let me know, and once again, you guys be wonderful people. Stay tuned to more videos I have in the future, and once again, take care.